Okay. As a farmer or a technician, you would want to know if you go to purchase a goat or if you have your animals and you want to take it to a show, what are the exact things to look for? So what we're going to do, we're going to go through how do you examine an animal. Now, if you ever heard, like, if you noticed a while ago, Mr. The manager turned the animals loose from the pasture and allowed them to come into the pen. Now, let's look at it from the other way around. In the mornings when you come to your pen and you want to let them out to pasture, if it's a situation where you have pasture and housing, what you do, you turn the animal loose, paddock by, pen by pen, and watch them go into the paddock. Just stand up about 5 minutes. And what I do, I normally come to this pen, and I just walk across the pen, and I'll stand there for maybe 10, 15 minutes. And I'll observe what is happening in the pen. What am I looking for? I'm looking to see which animal is laying in the corner. I'm looking to see which animal is eating much of the feed. And I'm also looking for this animal who is a bully. There are occasions when this animal would come to a pen, and even when he or she is full, that animal will chase away other animals and go and lay down in the trough and prevent other animals from eating. Right? Now that animal is going to create a thing what you call a loss in production, because he or she won't allow the other animals to feed. So this animal you have to consider whether that animal is important enough to keep in your pen. So that's an observation for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now when you turn the animals loose and watch them go to pasture, you're going to stand up and watch how the animals are moving. What you're looking for this time, you're looking for the animal who is going to lag behind the rest of the herd. And 90% of the time when the animal is lagging behind the herd, there is a problem. You look for the animal that is walking with a limp, right? So there are several things you look. You look for the animal who's walking with an unsteady gait. So while these set of animals coming in, I was observing them, and before they get here, you could know that which animal is not up with the herd. And you could see also some of the animal that is fighting, and the animal that is always in front. And in most herds, you have what you call a lead animal. In terms of dairy, I always call them the bell cow. Right? That animal is going to always go up front and take charge of the herd and lead them someplace. So that's a good way in which to identify which is your lead animal. But for this situation, we'll be looking at you're going to buy a goat. So you want to go and examine your goat to see if it's a real good goat, if it has a problem, right? So we normally start your examination at the head of the animal and go back towards the tail. Now, the first thing you want to look at is the whole general appearance of the animal. This person is going to tell you that they're selling you a Nubian animal. By the way, this is an Anglo-Nubian animal. So you already know the characteristic of the Anglo-Nubian. Roman nose, long ears, long body, long legs, right? So that's what you're looking for if the animal represents the breed that the person is selling you, say it is. Right, so if you look at this animal, there's a very aristocratic Roman nose, which is one of the characteristics of the Nubian, right? So you're going to start your examination. So you start at the face. So you check the nostril of the animal. What are you looking for? You're looking for mucus discharge there. If there's a mucus discharge, it's telling you that something is wrong with the animal, some type of pneumonia. And you know that pneumonia is a secondary infection. That means something else is wrong with the animal if it has. Now, if there's a clear discharge coming out of the nostril, it is supposed to be like that, clear and moist. Not supposed to be drained, but clear and moist like this animal is slightly moist. So this is good, all right? So after you look at the animal, you look at the appearance, you go towards the teeth of the animal. And I'll tell you that there are three important areas, and them sound alike, right? I'll tell you up front, the T-E-E-T-H, right? The T-E-A-T and the F-E-E-T. Those are three very important areas of the animal that you observe. So let us start at the teeth first. Now, remember, if the teeth of the animal is not set properly, it won't be able to eat. And there are conditions that we call an overbite. So if this top jaw, which is there's no teeth. For example, you know that goats don't have top front teeth, right? So this is called a hard palate. It's called a hard palate. Now, what you want to see is the teeth sitting comfortable against the hard palate here. Now, there are two main distortions here. If these teeth are underneath here, and the top hard palate is going over there, we call that a parrot mouth, right? Just like how a parrot beak could grow over. We call that a parrot mouth. So what is happening there? The animal won't be able to grip the grass properly to eat. Now there's another thing. It can fall backward, right? So the teeth will be out here. The teeth will be out here, and the hard palate will be way back here, right? So what that is known as is an overbite, right? It's an overbite, and that's, again, it won't be able to grip the grass and properly. Now, animals that are normally fed on concentrate, they also develop a problem because the teeth can fall out before the animal get to 5 years. Now, in that case, we call the animal a gummer, right? And then once a gummer, it won't be able to survive out in the wild because it cannot grip its food to eat it, right? So that animal, sometimes you can see a very fat animal, especially when you go to the livestock shows. You see, when you see an animal that is over-conditioned, the first thing you check is the teeth, because most times you have a nice animal like this and it can't eat, so the farmer would pull it out and feed it and concentrate straight concentrate. So it won't be able, if you want to put it out in the wild where it's supposed to be, to graze, that animal won't be able to survive. And they are normally very fat and shiny, all right? So we look at the mouth of the animal. So you want to have, again, good, strong, straight teeth. Once the teeth is away like this, if it's like half an inch, it can be accepted because it can still be able to grip some grass. But when it's wide like an inch, then that animal is a no-no for your herd, all right? Okay, so we move back from the mouth and the nose. We have an animal with a fairly good mouth. Its teeth are set properly and things. So we start to move back. Now, and we check the eyes. Now, when you see the animals, your eyes supposed to be bright and luster, not shiny, because if it's shiny, that's another problem again, right? But it should be bright, free of lacrimation, free of mucus discharge, right? And then this is one way we can check the animal to see if it's being ridden by parasites. What you're looking for on the eyelid, you're supposed to have not a bright pink, but a pinkish color, right? Now, if it's red, then there's another problem, right? Now, in cases where the animal eyes are white like a piece of paper, we know that the animal is anemic, right? And why it's anemic? Because there are some blood-sucking parasites that is affecting the animal. The blood-sucking parasite can be some of your intestinal worms, and it can be some of your external parasites like lice and ticks. Right, so we look. This is animal is fairly good, Mr. Barnes, yeah, fairly good. Everybody can see that pink color. Now there's a chart that we normally use. We call it a FAMACHA chart. Anybody have a FAMACHA? You have a FAMACHA? Before you leave here, we'll show you what a FAMACHA chart is. What a FAMACHA chart does, it tells you when to deworm and when not to deworm, and when you may deworm and when you may not deworm. And it varies from very pale to very red. Now, one of the art in deworming animals, some people prefer to get all the goats in their pen and deworm them at the same time. That's a practice that some of us use, but maybe the best practice is to do selective worming. So what you do, you'd go and you'll check the eyes of the animal. And if you have a FAMACHA chart or if you're experienced enough, you only pull out the animals that are anemic and deworm those. Because you're going to have some animals in the herd that they're going to be anemic all the time, and there's hardly anything you can do. And that is a good way to cull that animal, remove it from your herd, and bring it. So the animal that stand up to worm burden the best, that's the animal you keep, right? So remember, the chart goes, I think, from 1 to 5. Right? 1 to 5, right? Now, you deworm when you see the animal is getting pain. And it's not always a good practice to do a broad spectrum deworming. Because what you'll be doing, you'll be allowing the animal to develop resistance to the wormers. So the rule of thumb, if the animal don't have worm, don't deworm. Right? And you can know by your examination there. All right. Now, we look at the eyes, so now we move on to the ears of the animal. It's an animal with big ears like this. Stuff will find a way to get into there. So you look at the ear of the animal. Is it clean? Yes, this one is clean. There's no canker. There's no parasite showing in here. There's not a lot of wax coming out here because the animal, you know, this is well done. So examine the ear of the animal and look to see how clean it is. Right. Now, if the animal is horned, you can look at the horns too. And one of the things that you can use to find out if your animal is in good health, any animal with horn and is stressed, a ring will form around the horn. A ring will form around the horn. So if you pick up a goat and the goat with the most rings around the horn, that's the goat that is undergoing the most stress. Right? You can see a ring on this goat. And the more prominent the ring is that animal is undergoing a certain level of stress. The smoother the horn of the goat is the less stress that animal. And the stress can be from disease, it can be from worm burden, it can be from being tied out in the sun, it can be from starvation. So that is the way of them expressing themselves to say, I am in trouble, so look at me, farmer. All right? Okay. So we continue to come backwards. Now, if you're looking for a Nubian goat, what you don't want to see a newborn look like that it was running past and the father just throw a neck on it and the neck catch up anywhere. So what you want to see is a smoothness from the head into the shoulder blade. And a newborn should have a long and sleek neck, right? And you can't notice any kind of separation here. It's smoothly running from head into your shoulder blade where it's fitting, right? So here, now, maybe, just maybe, this area here is probably one of the most important parts of your goat, right? But this area is what they call the heart girth area, right? It's a heart girth area. And if the goat don't have a heart, it can't survive. So what you're looking for here, it must be well pronounced here, and you're looking for depth in this area, right? If it's very narrow or short, you don't want to select that goat. You want to select animal with good depth. And while we're here, we'll start looking at the feet. All right? Now, your feet, the toes of the goat, for the front foot, it should be pointing forward. You don't want it to be like that. It should be pointing forward. It should be strong and it should be firm. Right? It should be strong and firm. Now if you put this down and you look at it, you look if your toes are pointing straight forward. If it's spread out like this, then it's a problem. Because remember, if the animal can't walk properly, it means that she cannot eat properly either because she can't move to go and get the feed. Now, this is slightly twisted. One of them is slightly. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it could be a little bit straighter. All right. So we move from the heart girth here. Now, I always like to tell people, you see this area of the animal here, a very important area. If you're looking for external parasites, this is one area that you look. Now, even if the goat is horned, this goat cannot use his horn to scratch here. He cannot use his mouth to bite off the flea of the thing here. So the flea is smart too. It is going to go somewhere where it cannot be disturbed. So if animals have lice and stuff, this is the area where you're going to find most of them. They'll be all over the body, but you're going to find a concentration of them here. So you check this area. And then we move to the top line of the animal. Now, all the experts will tell you that if you want a goat that is going to produce, you must look for as straight a top line as possible. Right? Now, the straightness of the top line has implication to breeding. What happens if you have an animal with a saddleback, so to speak? When this animal is carrying a triplet or carrying two very large kids, what's going to happen? The back is going to be sunken like this. And there's implication there because the stomach might be too low to the ground and it can get damaged, right? So you make sure that the stop line from tail head, from shoulder to pin bone setting. You see pin bone? From shoulder to pin bone setting should be fairly straight. This is not the straightest animal you could see, but it's not a bad animal. There's a little bit of a saddle here. There's a little bit of saddle here, but it's not that bad. It could be acceptable. Yeah? Right, so from this area to this area, from shoulder to pin bone setting, should be fairly straight. The brown one is a straighter back than this one. But at the same time, you don't want to have a camel back either.
Oh, okay.
Right, you don't want to have a camel back. So the straightness is very important. All right, so now we come to this area. This area is the barrel of the goat. Now this is probably one of the most important parts of your barrel. In any small ruminant production book you look at, you hear them talk about well-sprung ribs. Well-sprung ribs. Now, remember again that this goat is a ruminant. Right? So it means that the bigger the capacity of the rumen is the more productive this goat is going to be. So you're looking for an animal with a barrel that can eat a lot of food. When it's carrying a triplet, it can support it. And at grass, we're talking about. So this should be well sprung. You don't want an animal that is tight. It's narrow when you look at it. It looks good, but yet the stomach is very narrow, right? And then we come here from the pin bowl to the tail head setting right here, right? If it dropping off suddenly when you get to this area, what it means is that this goat is going to have much difficulty when producing a kid, because the regular presentation of the kid is going to come out like this, and it's supposed to, if it have to climb up and then go down like this, then you'd have a big problem. So you need a slight drop off from the pin bone to the tail head setting there. So now we get to the back legs. Again, especially in sheep where we're talking about cuts, proper cuts. You want your muscling in your goat to go as deep down as possible. Now some of the muscling stop about here. If the muscling come here, the deeper the muscling is, the more meat you're going to get in that area. And then, especially for sheep, where you hear people talk about leg of lamb, right? You want it to go as deep as possible to get this. So this is what you look for in the animal that you're selecting. How deep does this muscling go? This animal could be a little bit deeper, but then this is a Nubian goat. You're not going to find deep muscling in the Nubian as opposed to a Boer goat. The Boer goat will go deeper in terms of the muscling. And this animal look like a show animal because it's standing up properly. So when they get to the back of the animal, this animal is a wee bit narrow in the back. See, it's not as, you could have a little bit. You don't want to have a mule rump. A mule rump is undesirable for especially dairy goats. But you want to have a little bit broader in the rump here. But how the animal stands again, especially a female, is very important. It should, when you're selecting an animal, it should form a V in this area that we call the escutcheon, right? And this is, wow, it was perfect a while ago, but she moved. So you want to have like a V there, right? If these two areas are touching, a lot of times when, for example, in a shoring, when the animals come in, the judge will ask them to walk. What is he looking for? He's looking if these two areas are touching together, right? And if they are touching like this, what we call is a sickle hock. A sickle hock, that means it's not walking properly, or knock knee, we call it in humans, right? So it should be wide apart like this. And the reason why, this is where the udder, and we come to this area, what we call the udder and the teats are, right? So it should be wide. So that means when this udder is engorged with milk, it should be able to walk properly without crushing the udder or rubbing it so that it becomes sore, right? So the feet should be well set, wide apart for this. Now that we got to this area, we'll start looking at the udder. Now we're not going to see much of an udder in this animal. I don't know if there's another one. What you want to look for, I'll tell you, and then if you find one, a proper one, we'll show it to you. What you want in a doe that is milking, it should be well attached, high attached in the rear. Attached high in the rear and carried forward, well forward at the front. That means you need to have strong attachment in the front and strong attachment on the back line. Okay, I see a problem with this goat already, but I'm showing you the attachment. Okay. If you look at the attachment at the udder here, you see how high up it is attached. Right? Now, if it's attached all the way down here, what you'll have is what we call a pendulous udder. A pendulous udder, it means that the ligaments around here and the muscular area is going to cause it to drop low and it will be loose. So therefore, it will not be able to feed its kids properly. It will be dragging on the ground and stuff like that. And the same thing with the attachment. You want the attachment to come far at the front, as far as the front as possible. Right? Now, whether it's a dairy cattle or a dairy goat, a good udder or the classical udder, what you want to see when the animal is standing like this. You want to see 1/3 of the udder when the animal is standing properly. You want to see 1/3 of the udder behind the leg, 1/3 is covered by the leg, and 1/3 is protruding forward. That's a classical animal. But you're not going to see that in a lot of animals, especially a Boer goat. A Boer goat is really a meat goat, right? And what a Boer goat does, it produces enough milk to feed its kid, nothing more. You couldn't have a Boer goat and say you're going to milk it as a dairy animal, because it's only producing the milk to get its kid up to weaning, and then after that, that's it. It dries off immediately after, right? So, okay, so we looked at the whole conformation of the animal. We look at the leg. Now this animal have an ugly foot. You see that? Walk it a little bit. Walk it a little bit. You see how the animal toes turning out? You don't really want that. You want the animal toes should be pointing straight ahead. All right? Okay, so we look at most of the pointers in terms of selecting an animal. Sometimes big is good, but conformation is better. A big animal without conformation is not necessarily a very, very good animal. Right? I'll leave it for anything somewhere. Huh? Body scoring. All right. Okay. Another thing that you want to look for, especially in a meat animal, you want to know how fleshy the animal is. Now you can actually measure the amount of meat that is on the animal by feeling in this area. You can actually put a score to it. Now, I didn't look at the first animal, but if you had to look at this animal is in a very poor condition. You could feel the bones over here. You want to feel some meat, and I'm sure that sometime during the course somebody's going to do a little presentation on body condition scoring. In some areas they do from 1 to 5, and some people just do from 1 to 4. You want your animal to be about breeding, yeah. 3. You want for about 3 for body condition score. Now, I'm assuming that this animal is pregnant.
Nursing.
It's nursing. It's a pregnant or nursing, so she has lost some condition. She's still showing a good sprung and rib and barrel, but it can't.